Cool. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? Yes. Great. So it's really a pleasure to be here. I see more people coming. See like all of you, like real faces. After these two really tough years when we only had like virtual events. Like these two years were like some would say challenging years, but I think it's more like shitty years. Like lockdowns, pandemic, quarantine. This is pretty bad, right? So we can't fix it now, it already happened. The only thing we can do now is going back in time. So let's get into our DeLorean. I hope you guys know the movie. See some young faces here. It's Back to the Future. If you haven't seen it, go into it now. And we're going back to the year 2017. Now you're probably asking yourself, why 2017? Well, many things happened during that year. Trump was first elected. Bitcoin was booming all the way up. You can't ignore it anymore. And the first time we saw the salt bee. Really, like many important events, but for me, probably what was more important for me that PyCon, it was the second time PyCon came to Israel. PyCon, if you don't know it, I know there are many Java developers here. Move here? Okay, sorry. So there are many Java developers here, so PyCon is the biggest Python conference in the world. So it came to Israel. I thought, well, I'm a developer, I'm a Python developer. Maybe I should go and see talks and learn more. At the time, I was more focused in writing code, writing cool code. One of the things I have done is writing this cool snippet, which lets you jump from the IDE to the web. So this is how it looked like. It was a really cool snippet. Many people used it. So one of my colleagues called Adam, he told me, hey, there's this PyCon conference. Maybe you can go and give a talk about this snippet. Well, I didn't think this snippet is really interesting. It had like 100 lines of code. But I ended up applying for another talk about something else I worked on. So actually, like Adam was the first one who opened the door for me. I never thought about going and talking in conferences. He was the first one who opened the door and suggested this. So this is me in the first PyCon, the first time I gave a talk, a little younger, more hair. So after this one, I gave like a few more talks until I got here. So really like Adam opening me the door for me, getting more and more experience and more opportunities. A year later, also Dina gave a workshop about blogs in the company. I went to the workshop, wrote a few blogs, and got like to tens of thousands of people, which is really amazing. Then again, a few years after, Danny, another developer, gave a course about React.js. I went to this course. I can't say I'm a backend engineer. I can't say I'm like the best front-end engineer, but I went to this and at least I learned the basics. So as you can see, all of them are engineers. Everybody helped me grow in a different path. None of them is a manager. So I say they are all individual contributor and they're not a manager. So let's take a few minutes to talk about the difference between these two. So in the past, you might have seen, and maybe today even, in more traditional companies, you have a one-way ladder, right? You join as a junior developer. Then if you're good enough, and also if they're an open position, the company will take the best developer and promote them to being a manager, which is pretty bad because you're losing your best developer, and you're also putting someone who's not necessarily the best manager. So what more companies today, more modern companies, especially in the US, they have this Y ladder shapes. You join as a junior developer. Then if you're already performing as the next level, and we'll talk about it in a few minutes. If you're performing as the next level, you can then get promoted to be an intermediate developer. Then again, if you're good enough and you're already performing as the next level, you can get promoted to being a senior engineer. And now you need to make a decision in your career. You can either want to grow as an individual contributor and work as a developer, or you can do a shift, a pivot in your career and being a manager. And I'm saying it's because it's not a promotion. Like being a manager is a different path. It's a pivot, it's a change in your career. So then you can decide growing as an IC, being a staff engineer, a principal engineer, like it depends on the company, or you decide to be a manager and you can be a director and senior director. And so you can decide where you want to grow in which way. And as I said, like if you want to be promoted, it's not based on open positions, it's based about your work. So it can change from one company to another. But generally speaking, after I read a few career plans for different companies, I think that there are three elements that you might satisfy if you want to be promoted. The first one is scope. How big is your work? How much time it takes? How big it is. Then the second one is impact. How much impact did it make? Which KPIs it move? Is it move only your personal KPIs, team KPIs, or bigger organization KPIs? And the complexity of the work. How complex the work is, how ambiguity you need to deal, how much dependencies you have, and so on. And these are three that you probably find in most of the career frameworks in different companies. And if you want to be like, this was really general, if you want to see the actual details, so you can go to a site called Level FYI, and here you see the different companies and the different levels that they have. You can also have the QR here, so you can see the different levels and how levels between different companies in the US, the biggest one, are compared to each other. And if you want to get even more into details, so Dropbox open sourced all the career frameworks, so you can actually see the levels that we have, and also in each level, what's the expectation? What are you expected to do at each level? And also you can see here some other career framework, because also like more companies join. So GitLab, Medium, it's really good to read those. So what do managers do? Again, this can change from one company to another, but very high level, manager do the hiring, right? Headcount, requirements, the briefs, everything. Culture-wise, collaboration, making sure that the team embraces the values, everything regarding the strategy of the team, the direction of the team, alignment with the organization, everything regarding growth, right? I hope you have like one-on-one with your manager, growth plan, feedbacks, all the time they give feedbacks and they get feedbacks, and so on. So, if this is what managers do, what do we, like software engineers, do? Senior software engineers. Well, if you ask society, they probably think you're running, like sitting in front of a screen, looking at like green letters falling from the sky. I guess like people saw metrics so many times. Also, if you ask your friends, and if they're not developers, they probably think the same. If you ask your family, also, you're sitting in front of a computer, writing some crypto things. If you ask computer science, they probably know that you're coding, but if they ask them, what are you going to do in the rest of your career? They probably say, yeah, we're going to code, like we're going to only write code. But what do we do in reality?
I hate this keyboard. I fucking hate this keyboard. I hate this keyboard. I fucking hate it.
Okay, hopefully not. Sometimes. But we actually probably, your day-to-day as a senior engineer probably looks more like this, right? You're collaborating with people, having meetings, talking about things, or we're like virtual times, so maybe something like this, right, in Zoom. So what do we do? Everything regarding to tech, architecture, the integrations, innovations, POC, everything. This is something that is expected from senior ICs, and there is also a tech leads and senior ICs. I'm not going to talk about tech leads because again, it can change from one company to another, an inside company. For the sake of this talk, let's just assume tech leads, senior engineers, staff engineers, they're all the same, like seasoned developers. So also they're doing everything about unblocking people, helping people, unblocking them if they have like technical challenges, communication, delivery, everything about quality, right? You're doing reviews, making sure that there are metrics in place, that you have playbooks if something goes wrong. And what's the fourth focus point? Any guesses? So if you've seen the title of this talk, you probably know it's growth, right? Growth is not only, what I think, like it's my personal things, but growth is not only preserved for managers. As a senior IC, you should also help the peers grow in their way. But you probably ask yourself why, right? We have the managers, why should we as an individual contributors, right? We are individual contributors. Why should we care about growth for our peers? Well, I think the first thing is for them. Right? If you really honestly care about the people in your team, and you're really satisfied from seeing people grow. So you really want them to grow. It's also helpful for your team, as a senior engineer, as a tech lead, you're responsible for the execution of your team, not only your manager, right? If something goes wrong, the project goes wrong, it's not only your manager. You're also in charge for making things, deliver things, and making them well. And the only way to do things well is surrounding yourself with good developers. So you want to grow them, and you want to have, like, build with your manager a strong team. And it's also important for you. right? You want to surround yourself with strong people. As Steve Jobs said, don't hire people and tell them what to do. Hire people that will tell you what to do. So, but even if you want them to tell you what to do, at least you need to help them at the beginning, grow them. So maybe today you teach them something new, you help them grow, and in the future they help you and show you something you didn't know. And so this is also good for you, for your personal growth. So I hope I convinced you. And so where do we start, right? Okay, let's be practical. Okay, how do we start? And I say we start at the beginning, like new hires. The first step when somebody joins your company, if you never mentored anyone, I think this can be a good start for you, right? Because these people come with almost no knowledge, so you can probably help them with something. You don't have to have like tens of years of experience. You can help them with a few things. So many companies today have this program called onboarding buddy. So somebody, when there's a new hire, someone from the team will accompany this new hire. They're helping them everything about company culture, processes, guidelines, also helping them with everything regarding technical context, helping with their first setup, compiling the program, whatever, everything about technical context, introducing them to relevant people if it's your immediate team, or key people in the organization, logistic assistant, it's really important, showing them where they can park, where they can get equipment, and probably the most important things, what's the best restaurant around. And just like being a friendly face, right? Just like making sure that they have somebody to have lunch with, have a coffee with them in the morning, say hi. This is really important. And doesn't matter all this list, your mantra should be like, I'm here to answer any question that you have. No questions are stupid. And it's really impactful. You're like the face of the company. There's somebody new comes and they know nothing about the company. So you can really make an impact, be the face of the company if you're making it good. And if you don't believe me, like there are numbers to back that. Like people that had like a mentor for the first day, you can see an uplift of 23% in the satisfaction. And after 90 days of having a mentor, you can see an uplift of 36%. People who had mentors are also more productive. So people reported like if they only met their mentor once or didn't have any mentor or buddy, only 56% of them reported they are productive. But people who met their buddy for 9 times or more, 97% of them reported they're productive. So almost twice, just like by having like a buddy. So really, if you have this program, join this program. If you don't have this program, really suggest you can take these numbers, show to your managers, try to initiate something new in your company, this kind of program, then you can make a really more impact even. It's really simple. But what's next, right? Like after you help somebody new, you want to help more senior engineers. And I think the best way to help other people grow, you can mentor them, you can show them some, send them to conferences, many things. But I think the most impactful thing that you can do and help people grow is by giving them autonomy. Let them grow and let them do the decisions, supervise them, making sure that they have a safety net, but let them grow. Let them do the things. So when I joined a company a few years ago, at the beginning of my career, I joined a company when we have like a traditional pipeline, some kind of like a waterfall pipeline. When we have a product manager, they did everything regarding the product, hand it off to the designer, who did everything regarding to the UX and the UI, hand it off to the head architect, who picked all the technology and all the main components in the company, hand it off to the tech lead, who wrote all the tech specs, and only then I was a developer, so I got the project only for the implementation part. Well, it was really nice. At the beginning of the career, it's nice, right? You're just like implementing, you're getting like functions, and you write them. But they're selling because people want to grow. Like I was what you can call, right, code monkey, right? You probably heard about that. I only knew how to write, like, give me the function, I'll just write the code. And again, it was fine, but you can't grow more than that, and you get like to a ceiling where you're not satisfied anymore. You want more purpose, thinking more important decisions from like what for loop to use. You want to really have like more impact and have a purpose. So I think the best thing you can do as a senior engineer is try to break this pipeline. First, when there's a product and designer work on something, make sure that all your team is also involved, even if it's just like viewers, I think it's always good. But if they can also help like working with designers, working with product managers, it's even better. Because then they know that they can help them think about trade-off, think about the important things, and helping them making the important decisions. Then, when we're coming to writing the tech specs and implement things, before you write the tech spec or decide or doing all the important decisions, the architecture, just like I think the most important thing as a tech lead is being able to break like a bigger project to small projects. So each developer, or maybe two developers, if maybe somebody senior and junior, but not more than that. Every developer has their sub-project so they can run with it end to end. So for example, if you have a shopping cart and you need to implement as a tech lead, you can break it to suggestions, item lists, and payments. So every developer needs to choose the technologies, writing all the specs, breaking it into tasks, implement everything, testing, monitor. So they have this like sub-project, and they are in charge to driving all the project. So this way they can also grow, right? They can start if it's a junior developer, they get something end-to-end, even if they're junior, something small. But if they're good enough, and if you see that they can get like more, again, like more scope, more complexity, and more impact as they grow. This is probably the best way to grow because they don't need to learn something new. They already know how to do things end-to-end. And so what's your job here, right, as a tech lead? Right? Do you need to be like one of these developers and do something end-to-end? Do you need to supervise them? I wasn't sure like at the beginning. It's really not sure like what it is to be accountable after being a developer, doing everything on your own. What does it mean actually to be accountable? So until I went to the US, I worked for Dropbox. Our headquarters are in San Francisco. I want to go to the Yosemite Park. And if you've been in the US, you know that the public transportation there is pretty bad. You probably can't go anywhere without a car. So we went, like me and my friend, we wanted to rent a car. I don't really care about cars. I just went to the first site I saw, looking for cars, and I saw there are two cars. One had like an automatic gearbox. The other one had a manual gearbox. I said, I don't know, I didn't care so much. I called my friend and asked them, hey, like which car should we choose? So what do you think? Let's make a poll. So who thinks he told me to choose the automatic gearbox? Who thinks he told me to choose the manual gearbox? Okay, 50-50. Cool. So I called this friend and asked him, hey, which car should we choose? And he answered me like what the fuck, man? Like, we're in the States, California. We're taking a Tesla, obviously. At the time, yeah, you could only get Teslas in the US. But a few years ago, well, you know, me as a developer, Tesla is not a car, actually. It's like a box of technologies. I didn't think twice. I told him, yeah, you're right. We should take a Tesla. No doubts about that. So Tesla, if you don't know, it has like a cool system where you have this map. You put like a point in the map, and the Tesla, like a charm, goes there for you. I thought this is what people call like autonomous car, but before we took the Tesla, I wanted to read to know exactly what it means for me as a driver. So it's not that simple. They say it's an autopilot, not an autonomous car. Driving features require active driver supervision and do not make the vehicle autonomous. Right? So what does it mean in practical? So first, you need to be attentive. You need to sit in the driver's seat, like listen to the surrounding, watching for obstacles in front of you. You also need to keep your hands on the steering wheel, otherwise it won't go. So also like small course corrections if you need, and making sure the car still goes in its lane. And also you need to sit in the seat and put your hand near the brake so you can always take immediate action, including braking. So when I came back to work, I thought, well, this is really like describing my responsibility or what it means to be accountable for a team, right? The first thing you need to know is you always need to be attentive, know what's happening in your team, listen to all the things that are going in your team, and also watch in front of you for obstacles or risks that can come. It also means you need to put like your two hands on the steering wheel, helping people getting into lane, something like, doing small course corrections, and also be ready to take full control if something really bad happened, make sure you can take full control and even break when it's required. So what is your responsibility as senior engineer or tech leads? I change like one word and I read it directly from the Tesla fact. So you are still responsible for your team and must monitor it and its surrounding at all times and be within your line of sight because it might not detect all obstacles. Cool, so how do you give autonomy? Probably the best way will be is to delegate, right? So it means that you need to do more reviews over actual doing stuff, right? Less writing code, less writing tech specs, less making all the decisions for the team, and do more reviews, more code reviews, and also teach others to do code reviews, more tech spec reviews, and again, teach others to do tech spec reviews. And also, it's important to do decisions review. Let them make the decisions, and you're only reviewing it, and help them make the right decision. But let them do the actual decision. And it's not always easy, right? Like, people don't always delegate. Some people are really centralized. And I don't think this is because these people are bad. It's because good things take time, right? For the short term, you're probably always losing, right? It takes more time to delegate. Like, if you can do something in a minute, and somebody else, it will take them an hour, you can probably do something to tell yourself, okay, I just do it in a minute and forget about it, right? Many times it takes more time to delegate. Also, the quality can be lower. Again, if you did something like thousands of times, and there's somebody new in your team, they're doing it the first time, the quality will probably lower. And it takes like double work, right? You need to teach somebody. So it's not only you working on something, it's two people now working on the same thing. So for the short term, you're probably losing. But for the long term, it's a big win, right? You're reducing the bottlenecks in your team. You're reducing yourself as a blocker. And as you're becoming more senior, you have less time, right? You have like more meetings, more things to do, more things on your table. So this is really important to reducing yourself as a bottleneck. Make sure that your team can progress without you. Also, it's higher satisfaction. People, like most of the people probably, like to take decisions, like to do things themselves. They don't want to be blocked all the time or waiting for somebody else. And it's also a big win for you. You can be more strategic, zoom out, and handle more high-level things. Cool, so that's all for helping your immediate team. But how do you make you want to make an impact not only for your immediate team, but other people in the organization? Well, I think the best way to do is first start with mentoring. We talked about mentoring new hires, but also mentor like more senior engineers. At the beginning, if you're a senior, you can mentor a junior. If you're a staff engineer, you can mentor a senior engineer. So the more you grow personally, the more senior engineers you can mentor, right? So maybe in the beginning, you can mentor people. You only know how to help them with code challenges, unblocking them, giving them some advice. But the more you grow, you can also mentor and help them in more like challenging places that they have, dependencies, and more complex issues. And the other way you can do is also cross-team impact. As I said at the beginning, you can join this, like if you have like onboarding team or team that do like help other people. Some companies have like technical guilds for front end or for databases. You can also join this and help other people and doing an impact by that. And internal conferences, if your company has internal conferences, go and talk to them, share your knowledge and help other people grow. Or just like giving tech talks, it's really helpful and you can also share your knowledge. If you don't have all these, it's even better, actually, because this is your way to make an impact and initiate this. Initiation is always better than just joining something. You can actually change things. You don't have to do all this. Think about your company and what you can actually do to help the company and help other people. Cool, I think we can now wrap up everything. So, we talked about the beginning, manager and ICs. So we talked about the ladders, the Y-shaped and the traditional ladder. We talked about focus point. I think growth is important, not only for managers, also for you as an ICs. Help people, growth is important. You have the technical stack, you can help other people grow. And why we say it's for them, because you really want them to grow, it's for your team. You want to build a strong team, and it's for you. This is the only way you can grow, is surround yourself with strong developers. So we talked about first steps. If you never mentored anyone, just like being a buddy, answer any question that you have. You don't need to have like tens of years experience. Somebody new joins your company, you can probably help them with some stuff. It requires minimal knowledge, and also the impact, as you've seen, satisfaction got a really nice uplift, and productivity, it almost twice. People who had like mentors were almost twice productive. Then we talked about helping your team growth, so by giving them autonomy, right? We talked about the early stages, making sure they know that they're involved in the early stages, and also that they have project to work from end to end, not only implementing some small functions. We talked about the Tesla case. What do you do as a tech lead or senior engineers? Like how much you need to be involved. So we said that your team will never be autonomous. New people joining, things happening all the way. It will always be autopilot, so you're there to supervise and make sure that it doesn't go out of the lane. Then we talked about delegations, reviewing, overdoing, and think always about the longer term. Don't always think about the short term. Then we talked about how to be a 10x multiplier, not only helping with supporting with your immediate team. We talked about mentor senior engineers, more and more senior engineers. Rule of thumb, you can always mentor one engineer below your level, because you've been there, you've done that, so you know how to help them. And also try to share like in any like multi-team knowledge conference, guild, whatever, or join it, or if it doesn't exist, just initiate. At the end, I think people are unique. Right? They're all like snowflakes. Even you, I guess, like you won't take everything from this talk. I hope you take like one or two things. So also the people you work with are also unique, right? Each one of them want to grow in different way. So it's really important to talk with them, understand their aspiration, what they want to be. Do they want to be tech leads, staff engineers, managers? Understand what they want to be and try to help them by understanding their way. Don't try to enforce your way. Okay, that's all. Cool, that's me, Alon Kiriati. You can find me on LinkedIn. I'll probably be around here. I'm also welcoming questions, discussions. I think it's better to have like offline discussions. I'll be here around. And if you're shy, you can find me in my LinkedIn. I'm always happy to have questions.